Good evening, it's Saturday the 6th of December. You're tuned in to our 6 p.m. newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. It's very good that you could join us. I'm Mark Broome. Our top story this evening, the UN Security Council is expected to take up the issue of North Korea's grave human rights violations as early as this month. Robert King, Washington's special envoy for North Korean human rights issues, says South Korea, the US and Australia were among the 10 nations that signed a letter that was sent to the Council's president on Friday. Under UN rules, a minimum of 9 countries are needed to put the issue on the 15-member Council's agenda. Discussion of the matter is also guaranteed, as no veto is allowed in the process. This latest move comes after a UN General Assembly committee overwhelmingly passed a resolution that calls for referring the North Korean leadership to the International Criminal Court for alleged crimes against humanity. The US envoy says a final vote on that resolution is set for December 18th. Now, in a move that could cause some inter-Korean friction, North Korea has unilaterally decided to remove the legal limit for wages paid to its workers at the Kaesong Industrial Complex, which is the joint venture run by the two Koreas. According to an article posted on the North's main propaganda website, Pyongyang revised an agreement on the Kaesong workers late last month. The agreement, made in 2003 between the two Koreas, says North Korean employees working at the complex should be paid at least $50 a month, and pay raises should not exceed 5% of the monthly figure. Pyongyang's latest move suggests the possibility of an unlimited raise. In response, South Korea says the decision was solely taken by North Korea and expressed hope to discuss the issue on Monday. Hundreds of thousands of people have been evacuated and ports have been shut down across the Philippines as Typhoon Hagupit has now started to make landfall on the island nation's eastern coastline. The country's eastern and northern Samar provinces and the city of Tacloban, where thousands were killed by Typhoon Haiyan a year ago, are just outside the main firing line of this storm, but there does remain some uncertainty about the exact path this storm is going to take. Hagupit is currently packing sustained winds of 200 kilometers an hour and gusts in excess of 250 kilometers an hour. Now, residents in the storm's path, we're talking about well over 10 million people here, have been told to prepare for extremely powerful winds and coastal storm surges of up to 4 meters. Forecasters say the typhoon will also bring with it between 200 to 500 millimeters of rain. Also, because this storm is moving at what is essentially a snail's pace, there's a much higher chance of flash flooding and mudslides. Now, topping off what has been quite a spectacular fall from grace, China's former security chief Zhou Yongkang has been arrested on charges ranging from leaking state secrets to adultery and bribery. The once highly feared official has also been kicked out of China's Communist Party. Connie Lee reports.
China's former top security official, Zhou Yongkang, has been arrested on charges of corruption. The country's state-run Xinhua news agency reports that China's top prosecuting body has opened a formal probe against the ex-official. As well as being formally arrested Saturday, Zhou was also expelled from the Communist Party. China's prosecutor office said Zhou's behavior significantly damaged the cause of the party and the people. The 72-year-old is accused of various crimes, ranging from accepting bribes, leaking state secrets, and having affairs with multiple women. Zhou was one of China's top leaders and allegedly a very feared, powerful senior official before his retirement in 2012. He was also a key figure in China and North Korea relations, seen here visiting Pyongyang in 2010 on the 65th anniversary of the founding of the Korean Workers' Party. Zhou is the highest-ranked ex-official to face charges since President Xi Jinping began his aggressive crackdown on corruption more than 2 years ago. Analysts say that President Xi's investigation against Zhou, who was a party rival, has allowed the Chinese president to consolidate power and improve the image of the Communist Party. Zhou has been under investigation for corruption for over a year now. And watchers say the fact that he will be investigated by state prosecutors suggests there's enough evidence against him. Connie Lee, Arirang News.
Now, US President Barack Obama has nominated Ashton Carter to replace Chuck Hagel as Washington's new defense secretary. Carter, a former physicist and Harvard professor, was previously the Pentagon's chief arms buyer and was an assistant secretary of defense under former President Bill Clinton. Heaping praise on Carter's more than 3 decades of national service, Obama said the US faces no shortage of challenges to its national security and the new defense chief is going to be critical to all those efforts. Carter said he's ready to give the president candid, strategic advice once he clears Senate confirmation, which should happen early next year. Chuck Hagel, who says he strongly supports the nomination, will stay in his role until Carter is confirmed. Staying in the United States, where another grand jury is being convened to consider charges against a police officer who killed a black man. 28-year-old Akai Gurley was shot dead late last month in his stairwell in Brooklyn by a rookie New York policeman. Police have said the officer may have accidentally discharged his gun, but civil rights groups have called it a modern-day lynching and are demanding justice for his family. Mr. Gurley's death is one in a stream of recent deaths of African Americans that have fueled nationwide protests. Tens of thousands of people took to the streets of several American cities again on Friday after a grand jury decided not to charge another New York police officer over the chokehold death of another unarmed black man, Eric Garner. In New York, protesters held what they called die-ins on Fifth Avenue at Grand Central Station and a well-known department store. Now, shifting gears now, and most hearing aids can only amplify sounds for the hearing impaired, but a team of Korean researchers has developed an artificial cochlea that could help people who are completely deaf. Our Song Ji-sun reports.
Roughly 1 in every 1,000 people are born with damaged cochlea, meaning they're unable to hear anything. Around 500 babies are born with this kind of hearing impairment every year in Korea. But good news could be on the way, as a local research team has developed an artificial nanosensor that mimics the functions of the hair cells in the cochlea in a way that complements existing implant devices.
People with hearing difficulties use hearing aids, which only serve to amplify sound. This device is actually designed to help patients who cannot hear at all by implanting artificial cochlear cells.
This silicon-based membrane separates the audible frequency range of incoming sound, which vibrates according to different sound frequencies. It then converts these vibrations into the patient's ear, allowing them to distinguish different sounds. Compared to previous cochlear implants, the titanium-made device is much more power efficient. Also, when it's implanted in vivo, or inside the ear, it's fairly unnoticeable, given that it's only the size of a finger joint. Researchers say the artificial cochlea could be commercialized by 2020 following clinical tests. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
Now, it turns out oil and water do, in fact, mix if you go about it in the right way, at least. Local researchers have devised a new method of bringing the two elements together, which could change the way cosmetics and other products are made. Our Son Jung-in has this report.
Most cosmetic products are made with a mixture of water, oil, and surfactant at a ratio of 6:2:2. Surfactants are commonly used as emulsifying agents to mix oil and water, which otherwise would not dissolve in each other. The problem is that surfactants are relatively expensive, and even if they are naturally made, they need to go through a chemical process that can be harmful to the human body. Now, local researchers have developed a technology that can mix oil and water at room temperature without the use of chemical solvents. The locally made focused ultrasound device shoots an ultra-high frequency into the solution that reduces oil particles to nanometer size, enabling them to mix with water. The device is also designed to circulate the mixture to disperse particles evenly, but most importantly, it keeps consumers safe from chemical surfactants found in cosmetics and other medical and food products.
Since it dissolves oil in pure water and is free of emulsifying agents, we can apply the technology towards making other products like medicine, paints, or inks, not just cosmetics.
The research team has applied for international patents around the world, including the US, Japan, and Germany, and their work is expected to be commercialized soon, with hopes of bringing about a giant industrial and social ripple effect in the near future. Son Jung-in, Arirang News.
Now, before we go, leaving you with a brief look at the weather here in Korea, and it's going to be yet another bitterly cold night across the nation, with the overnight low dropping to minus 10 degrees Celsius in Seoul. Sunday will be pretty sunny and ever so slightly milder than today, but temperatures will only reach up to minus 1 degree in the Korean capital, so make sure you bundle up. Now, for our viewers overseas, let's take a look at the weather conditions in your part of the world. Well, that's all we have for now. Do enjoy the rest of your Saturday wherever you are watching us, and stay tuned to Arirang. We'll be back with our next newscast at 10 p.m. Korea time. Until then, goodbye.